The Jersey Mike's thing. A sub above.
Investment firm Blackstone to buy Jersey Mike's subs. Wall Street Journal said
the private equity giant Blackstone has acquired a majority stake in the company, marking a new chapter for Jersey Mike's and its founder, Peter Cancro.
Big private equity firms are destroying our sandwiches. And now, they've come for Jersey Mike's. On November 19, 2024, Jersey Mike's, the king of fresh, made-to-order sandwiches, announced it was selling out to Blackstone. No, not the Grill cover, a private equity firm. You've probably never even heard of them, and that's exactly how they like it. Because this isn't just another business deal. This is the beginning of the end. We've seen this before. A thriving restaurant, loved by customers, a Wall Street firm, promising growth. And then, higher prices, smaller portions, cheaper ingredients, until one day, it's just gone. Jersey Mike's was different. It was better. Voted America's #1 sandwich chain, fresh sliced meats, real ingredients, better than Subway, better than Panera. People love Jersey Mike's. And yet, history has a way of repeating itself because private equity firms don't care about making the best sandwiches. They care about making money at any cost. So what's going to happen to our beloved Jersey Mike's? Will Jersey Mike's fight to keep its soul? Or are we all about to take one final bite of the sandwiches we love? To understand if we're about to lose our sandwiches, we need to talk about who just bought it. Who the hell is Blackstone? Blackstone. You may not know them, but they know you. They own your neighborhood apartments. They control your favorite hotels. They were once in bed with BlackRock, and now they own your sandwich shop. This is Steven Schwartzman. This is the man behind who built the most powerful private equity firm in the world. A man worth over $30 billion. They control over $1 trillion in assets. That's more money than the entire economy of Mexico. And they made Schwartzman one of the richest men alive. But at what cost? Well, Blackstone doesn't run businesses. They flip them. But how? It's simple. The Blackstone playbook, how they make money. Number 1, buy a successful company using other people's money. Number 2, load it with debt. Number 3, raise prices, cut costs, and squeeze out every last dollar. Number 4, sell it for a massive profit before the business collapses. This model has made Blackstone billions. If the company thrives, Blackstone wins. If the company collapses, Blackstone still wins. And the pattern repeats. And we end up the losers. They say they help businesses grow, but history tells a different story. Blackstone has done the same thing in housing. After the 2008 financial crash, while millions of Americans lost their homes, Blackstone bought over 100,000 properties at dirt cheap prices and turned them into high-rent investment properties. Instead of helping struggling homeowners, they made billions off the crisis. And it doesn't stop there. PSSI, child labor scandal. One of Blackstone's companies was caught using kids to clean slaughterhouses. Casino landlord scheme. They bought up Las Vegas casinos, forcing them into expensive lease agreements. Oatly controversy. Their ties to deforestation projects sparked a massive boycott. They claim to be investors, but everywhere they go, bad shit follows. And now they own our Jersey Mike's. The real question isn't why they bought it. It's what happens next. Are you still going to be able to get a number 7 turkey and provolone sandwich, Mike's way, but with added mayonnaise and cherry pepper relish all in the rosemary parmesan bread? To understand where this is going, we need to look at what's happened to other food chains under private equity. And trust me, we're all in a pickle. This is what happens before private equity gets involved. A thriving business, a restaurant people love, and then location after location starts closing. This isn't a coincidence. Because once private equity takes over, the clock starts ticking. And now, that same clock is counting down for Jersey Mike's. The Red Lobster disaster, a playbook for destruction. In 2014, Red Lobster was America's largest seafood restaurant chain. 64 million customers per year, 600 locations across the US and Canada, a trusted name in casual dining. But then, private equity happened. A firm called Golden Gate Capital bought Red Lobster and immediately sold off its real estate. This is called a sale-leaseback. It means selling the land under the restaurant and then renting it back at a much higher price. Why would they do this? Because it gives a private equity firm a quick payday, but leaves the restaurant chain drowning in rent payments. And for Red Lobster, that rent bill added up to $200 million a year. By 2024, it was over. Bankruptcy, 100 plus locations shut down, thousands of jobs lost. The unlimited shrimp deal wasn't what killed them, private equity was. And if this sounds familiar, it should, because it's the same playbook they've used before. Quiznos, the sandwich chain that vanished. In 2006, Quiznos was Subway's biggest competitor. 4,700 US locations, a unique menu beloved by fans. Then private equity stepped in. A firm called CCMP Capital bought Quiznos and loaded it with debt. To pay off that debt, franchise owners were forced to buy supplies at inflated prices. Translation: the company was making money off its own franchisees, draining them dry. One by one, they couldn't afford to stay open. By 2017, fewer than 400 locations remained. A 90% collapse. We've never seen a restaurant shrink that fast. A pattern of destruction. And Red Lobster and Quiznos aren't the only ones. Mod Pizza, private equity funded explosive growth, but the company collapsed under its own weight. BurgerFi, after an $80 million investment, it defaulted on $51 million in loans. Rubio's Mexican Grill, bought for $91 million, then declared bankruptcy. Twice. Sweetgreen, grew from 1 store to 227, but still hasn't turned a profit. Every time, it's the same pattern. A beloved brand bought out, squeezed for profit, and left to collapse. It never happens overnight. The downfall of a company starts with one small change. And before long, the first domino falls. Because every time private equity steps in, there are warning signs. So has it already started at Jersey Mike's? Nothing seems different, but the warning signs always start small. Prices inch upward, ingredients aren't quite the same, and then it all falls apart. Red Lobster was the biggest casual dining chain in America. Then private equity did what they do. Rent skyrocketed. Profits evaporated. And by 2024, Red Lobster was bankrupt. So what does this have to do with Jersey Mike's? Well, let's talk about Blackstone. This isn't some random investment firm. This is the world's largest private equity firm with a history of aggressive cost-cutting, short-term profit grabs, and asset stripping, which is when a company buys a business, sells off its most valuable parts for quick cash, and then leaves the rest on the struggle bus. So what's the first move? Squeeze more money from franchise owners. Jersey Mike's operators already pay high royalty fees, 8% of revenue plus marketing fees and required supply costs. But what happens when those fees start creeping up? When franchisees are suddenly locked into higher costs with no choice but to comply. Private equity doesn't like to wait. The fastest way to boost revenue is to increase franchise fees, forcing store owners to pay more in royalties, marketing fees, and mandatory supply costs. Just ask Quiznos franchisees. They were forced to buy overpriced ingredients directly from corporate, even as sales plummeted. Thousands of stores closed within a few years. If Blackstone pushes aggressive growth, opening hundreds of new Jersey Mike's locations too quickly, it could lead to market oversaturation, the same mistake that Subway and Mod Pizza made. More locations doesn't always mean more profit. At first, you won't even notice. The meat's a little thinner, the bread's not quite as fresh, the sauce, something's just off. And before you know it, that sandwich you used to crave doesn't hit the same. Red Lobster's customers didn't notice at first either, until suddenly the seafood wasn't as fresh and the portions got smaller. Jersey Mike's CEO, Peter Cancro, has been running this company for over 40 years. He built it from a single sub shop into a national powerhouse. But what happens if he steps down? Every time Blackstone takes over, leadership changes. It happened with Hilton Hotels, Oatly, Ancestry.com. When the founder leaves, that's when the real changes begin. That's when we know Jersey Mike's isn't Jersey Mike's anymore. Right now, Jersey Mike's is standing at a crossroads. It hasn't fallen, not yet. But if history has taught us anything, it's that private equity rarely walks away without taking its pound of flesh. But this isn't inevitable. Unlike other chains that crumbled under private equity, Jersey Mike's still has something powerful, a fiercely loyal customer base, and a CEO who's been there since day one. If Peter Cancro keeps control and fights back against corporate cost-cutting, if franchisees refuse to be squeezed dry, and if customers demand accountability, this story could have a different ending. Alright, so what can you do? Pay attention. If the sandwiches shrink, the quality dips, or franchisees start speaking out, don't ignore it. Support local sub shops. The best way to fight back against private equity's grip on food chains is to support businesses that put quality before profit. Hold them accountable. If you love Jersey Mike's, make noise. Call them out if they start prioritizing profit over product. We've seen what happens when private equity takes over. Will Jersey Mike's fight back, or will it be just another name added to the list? All right, see ya, time to eat.